Bharti Balaji, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome our distinguished guests, chief guest, esteemed speakers, members of the legal fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, and friends from media. To commence this program on an auspicious note, let us invoke the blessings of Goddess Saraswati, the divine embodiment of knowledge and wisdom. I invite Ms. Sindhura, Advocate on Record, Supreme Court of India, to lead us in Saraswati Vandana. Sindhura.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रान्विता या वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेत पद्मा ब्रह्माद्यत शंकर प्रकृतिभिर्देवैः सदा पूजिता सा मात्पातु सरस्वती भगवती निशेषजाड्यापहा.
Let's hear it for Sindhura. Thank you. That was such a beautiful rendition, Sindhura. It gives me a great joy to introduce the authors of the book, Case for Ram. Mr. Sridhar Potharaju, a dear friend whom I've had the privilege of knowing him for nearly 3 decades since we began our legal journeys together in 1997 from the same chambers. A man of unwavering principles and integrity, Sridhar has consistently upheld the highest standards of ethics, both in his professional practice and personal life. Sridhar is a senior advocate at the Supreme Court of India, having completed his BCom from Hyderabad and his law degree from Delhi University. He has built a distinguished career in law. His first book, Maxims from Mahabharata, was published in 2022. Through his writings and lectures, he continued to explore and share India's rich philosophical and cultural wisdom, also available on his platform www.vadaprativada.in. Mr. Anirudh Sharma is an advocate on record, practicing before the Supreme Court of India, various high courts and tribunals since 2005. A graduate of Ramjas College and Campus Law Center, Delhi University, he trained under the chambers of Sri K. Parasaran, with whom he shares 20 long professional association. Beyond law, Anirudh is deeply passionate about India's civilizational heritage and cultural preservation. He regularly writes columns and is currently working on his first novel. With great pleasure, may I now invite Sridhar Potharaju and Anirudh Sharma to please come up on stage. It is a great honor to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General of India, one of the highest ranking law officers in the country, known for his erudition, courtroom acumen, and an impressive track record of representing the Government of India in complex and high-stakes litigation. Mr. Mehta has become a pivotal figure in India's legal and constitutional landscape. Mr. Mehta hails from Gujarat and has built an illustrious career marked by deep scholarship, persuasive advocacy, and an unwavering commitment to the rule of law. Beginning his legal practice at Gujarat High Court, he earned early recognition for his expertise in constitutional, criminal, and corporate law. He later served as the Advocate General of Gujarat, where he successfully handled several landmark and sensitive cases on behalf of the state. In 2018, he was appointed Solicitor General of India, the second highest law officer of the country. In this role, Mr. Mehta has represented the Government of India in numerous matters of national importance before the Honorable Supreme Court, including the Ayodhya title dispute, the abrogation of Article 370, and key cases related to economic reforms, taxation, and pandemic management. Known for his clarity of thought, meticulous preparation, and balanced courtroom demeanor, Mr. Mehta embodies both legal excellence and public service. Beyond the courtroom, he is a respected mentor and speaker, regularly engaging in discussions on constitutional law, governance, and public policy. His distinguished service continues to strengthen India's legal framework and uphold the dignity and independence of the legal profession. Sir, it is a privilege to have you with us this evening. May I please invite you on stage? Can we please welcome with the bouquets? Thank you, Aditi. It is a privilege to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. K.K. Mohammed, one of India's most eminent archaeologists and leading voice in heritage conservation. A former regional director of Archaeological Survey of India, Mr. Mohammed has played a pivotal role in several landmark excavations and restoration projects across the country. A graduate in history from the University of Kerala and a postgraduate in archaeology from Deccan College, Pune. His expertise is backed by decades of field experience. He is best known for his participation in the Ayodhya excavations, where his findings as a part of the ASI team offered crucial archaeological insights into one of India's most debated heritage sites. His work includes major conservation efforts at Humayun's tomb, Khajuraho temples, and several historic monuments across India. Respected for his independent perspective and steadfast commitment to protecting India's cultural legacy, Mr. Mohammed, a recipient of several awards, including Padma Shri and recognitions, continues to contribute and promote historical awareness through his writings, lectures, and heritage initiatives. Sir, we are deeply honored by your presence. May I please request you to come on the stage. Can we please welcome Mr. Mohammed with the bouquet? Thank you, Sindhura. It is an honor to introduce our special guest, Mr. Guru Krishan Kumar, a senior advocate at the Supreme Court of India and one of the most respected names in the legal fraternity. Mr. Kumar is known for his expertise in constitutional law, civil and commercial litigation, and arbitration. Over the years, he has appeared in several landmark cases before the Supreme Court and various high courts, representing both government and private clients with great distinction. Beyond his courtroom excellence, he is admired as a mentor and guide to many young lawyers and for his deep commitment to legal ethics and professional standards. Sir, we are privileged to have you here today. May I please request you to come on the stage? Can we please welcome him with a bouquet? Thank you, Shivani. All these youngsters, please note that they've all worked for this case. Mr. Tarun Angya, it's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Tarun Angya, a distinguished journalist, television anchor, and media professional, renowned for his insightful coverage of law, politics, and public policy. Mr. Nangya is currently the editor, Legal CNN News 18, and the host of acclaimed show Legally Speaking, which brings together India's top judges, senior advocates, and thought leaders for engaging discussions on contemporary issues. With over 2 decades in journalism, Mr. Nangya is respected for his balanced perspective, depth of analysis, and commitment to truthful reporting. Beyond journalism, he is also a sought-after speaker and moderator at leading legal and academic forums. We are delighted to have with him today, and even more so, he will be moderating our discussions on the book in just a few minutes. Thank you, Tarun. May I please invite you to come on the stage? Can we please welcome Tarun with a bouquet? Thank you, Ankita, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all waiting for has been arrived. With great joy, we now proceed to unveil the book, The Case for Ram. May I request all the dignitaries present on the dais to kindly join in releasing the book. Congratulations, Sridhar and Anirudh. Now that the book has been officially released, let's move into a more engaging segment, a conversation that will take us behind the making of Case for Ram. To lead this discussion, we have with us Mr. Tarun Angya. Over to you, Tarun.
Good evening, all of you. I'm so happy to see this hall. It's packed, and so many of you have come. We sure would make this interesting. And I'm so happy to have this eminent panel to moderate. First of all, I would like to congratulate the authors of the book, Sridhar Potraju and Anirudh Sharma. We did a show recently, and you know how much they have put in. So much of research has gone in. So I would request a huge round of applause for the authors. Recently, on the Solicitor General for India's birthday, I found out that he is the second longest serving Solicitor General of India. And I did not know his academic credentials, won 5 gold medals in college. Mr. Mohammed needs no introduction. He is a star in the media. We all listen to him in interviews all the time. And you've got such a following. In YouTube, you Google his name and we can see his videos all over. And Guru Krishna Kumar, as we all know, senior advocate, has a following at the bar and much respected. And I'm so happy that, sir, you could make time and you've come here today. At the outset, sir, I would like to request you that in about 6 to 7 minutes, if you could speak about the authors and the book.
My humble greetings to this distinguished gathering. The Solicitor General, Mr. Mohammed, the authors, Tarun, and all the other distinguished guests of the dais. This is a bit of a googly, if I may say so, by Tarun asking me straight away to pick up the mic. I thought the pitch would be set with some of the opening batsmen playing, and the audience would be ready with some more listening, and probably they wouldn't want too much from the tail-end batsman. But I think this is some kind of a conspiracy which Sridhar and Anirudh have hatched, telling Nangya to ask me to pick up the mic first. Because Sridhar and Anirudh came to my house and gave the book and told me more than once, "Sir, the book is here, please read it." I said, fine, I'll do it. A third time they told me, please read it. Then I realized Sridhar had still not shed his thoughts as an advocate briefing lawyer who wanted to ensure that the senior read the brief. Anirudh was a little less persistent in that. I think Anirudh today, Sridhar having become a senior, is now very bold and he says, no, you have to read the matter. Whereas Anirudh, I think, still wants to look at seniors for assistance in matters, so he didn't want to push me. I mean, all jokes apart, my hearty congratulations at the outset to both Sridhar and Anirudh for a fantastic job done. What I want to first point out is this. As a thought, to have been able to put together a book of this nature is something which deserves accolades. That's the first point I want to highlight. Because this is a case which has gone beyond the courtroom. This is a case which has gone beyond discussions in legal circles. It's gone way beyond discussions in social media. This is a case which has been looked at as a very, very important defining case in terms of how the system, the legal system in this country is going to handle a dispute of this nature. Therefore, I think it's very important for the future to know how this case unfolded in court. Tomorrow, what will be in front of the public is only the judgment of the court. But what went behind the preparation for this case? What exactly went in from each side by way of preparation? What kind of material was garnered? What kind of facts were marshaled? I think for all of that to be put together, and that too in a very lucid style, I think special accolades are due to both Sridhar and Anirudh. That's one thing which I wanted to say right at the outset. And of course, the fact that they were involved in the matter, in the process of writing the book, they have not compromised on the objectivity. I think these two are factors for which we need to give them a special round of applause.
Thank you for those opening comments. Now I would like to go to Mr. K.K. Mohammed. Also that we've been listening to you so often in all these years, and I must say that you have such a fan following with your plain speak. You stick to facts and you speak your mind. Given that, when you speak about the evidence on the structure and below the structure, you took your stand as on a civil case, giving facts, and also when a lot of people were sort of not agreeing to you, but you stuck to what your facts were without being influenced by any lobby. Can you sort of speak on evidence and history regarding the structure and what you found as an archaeologist? Over to you, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to congratulate these two young men who have taken the task of, codifying the entire thing. Otherwise, legal battles are fought in the court and nobody knows about it. But this was, as Guruji has said, this was one of the first cases where people at large, they were all interested. And it was fought on many planes. And people should know what went behind it. Because a lot of legal battles they have fought. One was the physical fight which was going on outside the court. But inside the court, in the legal chamber, in the chambers of the Parasharanji, this one assisted by these two great young gentlemen. What is that? That should come to the people. And that is what they have done it. So I would like to congratulate both of you on behalf of the entire fraternity. And the second thing is, when I went to Ayodhya in 1976 under Professor B.B. Lal. At that time it was not such a very big issue at that time. So I tried to go inside the mosque and there was one police person, he stopped me and said that a legal case is going on, so you cannot go inside. So we reasoned with him, sir, we have nothing to do with all these legal cases. We are explorers, excavators, archaeologists. So he allowed us inside. So when we went inside, I could see that the mosque was standing on temple pillars. Okay. So if you have any doubt, you just go to Qutub Minar. It's very nearby. So near Qutub Minar, there is another structure known as Quwwatul Islam, Masjid. Even now you can see more than 50 sculptures, Hindu sculptures on them. So certain things have happened. There is no point in denying them. We should accept the historical truth. Yes, this has happened. So that is what exactly happened there also. So they were standing on temple pillars. And then there were certain sculptures also, Hindu sculptures also, which was defaced. So that was also noticed. And then when Professor Lal excavated, I was a member of the team. So when he excavated, he got a number of sculptures, Hindu sculptures. And then the pillar bases on which these pillars were standing. So that was the great evidence. But he did not publish it publicly because that would have created a lot of problems. But what these communist historians did, they went to the press in 1990. None of them were archaeologists. None of them had visited the site. before the excavation, nor during the excavation, nor after the excavation. They went to the president, gave a statement that Professor Lal has excavated the site and he did not get anything associated with the temples, and hence there is no need of handing over the structure to Hindu community at all. So I was at that time working in Madras, Chennai. I was a deputy superintending archaeologist. My probation period was not over. So I gave a counter statement. I should not have given because it affects this one future. So I gave a statement that the statement of this communist historians, it is totally false. There is no historical truth in that one. We have got a number of, because before that Professor Lal had also given a statement. So I supported, nobody was supporting him at that time. So at that time I came in support of him and gave a statement in Indian Express, which was published widely by Indian Express on 15th of December 1990. So that was a sharp rap on that record. And I also said that I was the only Muslim who had participated in that excavation. And then I concluded, after giving all this evidence, I concluded that Rama temple is as important for Hindus as Makkah and Medina are for Muslims. And hence the Muslim community should willingly hand it over. I expected certain rebuttal from those people because they had wide connections with the press at that time. But they were afraid of now giving any kind of rebuttal to that one. And then later on also they played the same kind of trick. When the legal battle was going on, day-to-day hearing was going on in 2019, during the month of October, when this was going on. At that time also I gave a piece of this to Times of India and it was widely published. And they gave it, they rebutted it and saying that I was not a member of the excavation team at all. Yes, that was it. And then Professor Lal had to give another statement. No, K.K. Muhammad was very much with me in the excavation team. So this is the kind of work, which they would be doing. They would be resorting to all kinds of methods, and you have to stand very strongly, then only you will be winning that battle. So it is a kind of battle, which we have been fighting for the last 500 years. Right from the time in 1528, that legal battle has been going on for a long time, and finally the Honorable Supreme Court gave a decision basing on the archaeological evidence, and which was a fully balanced judgment. And because the claim of the Muslim community was only for 2.77 acres, but instead of that they were given 5 acres of land. So that was a remarkable thing. So that way the Honorable Supreme Court has found a very honorable solution to the entire problem, and the entire thing has been completely described in this book also. So I recommend this book should be read by all the people, because then only you will be finding out the legal battle and the legal mind which was working behind it. So thank you all. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for the opening comment. We'll come back to you for more. In 2004, former Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee said, the answer to a book is a book. If there is a work that someone has done, you agree or disagree, you write your own book and let the people read. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Solicitor General for India, Tushar Mehta, have one thing in common which I found out. Both have a knowledge of poetry. In fact, it was Ijaz Maqbool, because of whom I got to know it at his book launch, and he's here amongst us. And that day I heard your poetry and I realized that I cannot remember poetry and recite, but you can. So it's an art, it's not easy. So given that as a fact, I would like to ask you this question, that you are the most credible defender of the government today. Every word of yours is reported, analyzed and talked about. Whenever you say anything in court, you won't even realize what all goes on outside, where you are all talking about what you said in court. When such an important case was on, all 140 crore people of India were looking at what stance you were taking in court, what you were talking. Can you, in about 10-15 minutes, walk us through your memories of the case, and with so much of tension, so much of controversy around it, this is one of the most important cases of your life. Could you reflect on those times?
Yeah. Thank you, Tarun. Am I audible? First of all, I have gone through the book, and I must say one thing. it's very difficult to write a book about a particular case and make it interesting. It's very easy to write a book which is boring. The authors have accomplished a very enviable task of making the book really interesting. The way in which they have narrated, it's in the form of a narration. It's not in the form of just enumeration, this happened, that happened. It's not a bland history, it's a narration of how things happen. Before I come to what Tarun asked me to share, I must share one more thing. See, when we discuss the case for Ram and we discuss about the litigation involved, one thing is very clear, and let us not hide behind any of the wordplay, that it was a case which had bearing in history and which was going to create history. It was a turning point in more than one ways, legally, socially, politically, culturally, religiously, in whatever way. But when we talk about the system of law in our country, which of course you will read how it developed, how the case developed, how the case proceeded, there is one beautiful thing which I must at this moment acknowledge and share with you. We have one special guest here, as you mentioned, that is Mr. Ejaz Makbul. For those who do not know perhaps why I am making a special reference, he is the advocate on record for the other side. This is the beauty of our profession. We are opponents inside the courts. We are not enemies. It requires courage and a different level of spirit to be a part of this gathering. I really thank you, Ejaz, for this. I'm sorry, Akriti also, she was also, I've seen you briefing one of the most difficult counsels to brief. Now, let us not again hide behind any wordplay. Everyone was under pressure. The significance of the matter, the importance of the matter, the repercussions of possible win or possible lose was also in everybody's mind. I may not be able to share many things because I represent a party which was not expected to take sides. I represent the government, both center and the state. But there are two things which have come out very distinctly and which has made a very lasting memory in my subconscious mind. One is the interactions with Mr. Parasaran. Mr. Parasaran, for all you know, I just met him before a few days. He completed 98 years and he is still mentally as agile as he was. And for those lawyers who are here, including me, the thing which I learned during the process of interacting with him, of course, I was not a part of preparation, but interacting with him was this. Whenever you have a legal proposition in mind, generally all lawyers feel that this is the legal proposition and there can be no other way of presenting this legal proposition. It was during the interactions with Mr. Parasaran that I learned for the first time at the age of 55 that if you continue to play with a particular proposition long enough, the proposition gives you 3 more angles in which it would like to be present. And I had the opportunity to have interactions without being a part of the preparation of Mr. Parasaran because geographically my chamber was the nearest chamber of the Chief Justice's court and therefore he used to come for his lunch in my chamber and therefore those were the memorable interactions. Second, which again part of the preparation and you will find in the book, both sides were represented by a few of the brilliant minds in the country. The other side was represented by none other than Mr. Rajiv Dhawan, undisputably one of the most brilliant counsels of the nation. and both sides argued with devotion. The only distinction I would make is the side which Mr. Parasaran and others represented, they argued with devotion to the cause as well as devotion to the brief, while the other side argued with complete devotion to the brief. They did their best, and nobody else could have argued better than Dr. Rajiv Dhawan and of course Mr. Makbul. Having said that, there were some moments in which in hindsight we feel could have been avoided, but in a matter of this nature, when the tempers are high, when the stakes are high, when the stakes are not in terms of money but in terms of the nation's history, there is bound to be some exceptional behavior inside the court. And last, the way in which the court handled the case also is amazingly intellectual. For one side it was a case of Hindus, another side was a case of Muslims, temple versus mosque. The court treated it as a property dispute. There were instances where the court had legitimate right to get instigated, but the court maintained its cool, and what I would like to refer to it as what is called judicial statesmanship was at its display in the courtroom. How a judicial statesman deal with a matter of this sensitivity. So, all in all, it was a history in the making, and the history is very beautifully and in the most lucid manner captured in the book.
Thank you for that opening comment. If you have the AV, we have an AV of Justice Nageshwar Rao from the launch in Chennai, which was, if it is ready, we'll play it now. Till the AV is played, what I'll do is I'll get in the authors of the book. We have the AV here. So Justice Nageshwar Rao speaking at T Nagar in
This
Chennai.
is a case which is a sensational case going on for the past centuries rather, and especially in this era, at least from what we have seen from in the Supreme Court 2011, 2012 onwards. It is not for lawyers. It's for a layman to read and then understand what court proceedings are, how much effort a lawyer puts in, and what do the judges do while delivering judgments and doing justice in courts. When I went through the book, within the past 3-4 days when I got time, I glanced through the book and then I almost read it through. I found it to be a fascinating exercise taken up by Sridhar and Anirudh. My acquaintance with this case, though I was not sitting on the bench, I was a judge there, Justice Bobde was on the bench. He is a very good friend to me, and then we used to meet almost every other day. And he used to keep telling me about this case, how intense the battle was in court. Lawyers, when they argue cases, they don't give an inch to the other side. And that's what they are supposed to do as well. But after the case is over, you don't carry this rancor outside court. And Mr. Parasaran, he maintained this, and then he gave equal importance to Rajiv Dhawan and his team as well. I saw another photo where he put his hand over the shoulder of H.S. Makbul, who is the advocate on record for the other side. So whatever you do, you are doing for your client, but you are not an enemy or an opponent to the lawyer. This is something which every lawyer has to learn. And what is it that the people who are not connected with this profession of law, how is it that you are going to benefit out of reading this book? Sridhar was saying that all of you should read the book. What is it that you would understand by reading this book? This was the most important case that was going on for about 10-15 years in this country. The entire country was waiting with bated breath when this judgment was delivered. Not because of what was going to happen. People were anxious as to what is going to happen after the judgment is delivered. Even amongst the judges, we used to discuss whichever way the judgment is going to go, what would be the consequences of this judgment. Fortunately, everything went well. There was absolutely no problem after the judgment came, which means that this judgment was acceptable to everyone. You will read from the book about the efforts that are put in by lawyers, especially Mr. Parasaran, Mr. Vaidyanathan, Mr. Ranjit Kumar, Narsimha, and the younger lawyers who were assisting them day in and day out. They have really toiled for years together to get documents. They were going into history as to what happened in the from 1800s onwards when the cases were filed, even trying to get travelogues and what was written about Ram Janmabhoomi even earlier in 1500s and 1600s as well. And the number of documents in various languages which were put in court. I was reading the judgment. In the judgment they refer to about 7-8 languages. And there was an effort made by the Supreme Court to get all those translated in English. The delay was for various reasons in court. And depositions and documents, several thousands of documents were placed on record. This book is one book which I have seen. Lawyers on one side not being partial to their clients or to their work. Not even a word has been said against the other side. I think this is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. I congratulate the authors for maintaining the discipline which they might have learned from Mr. Parasaran. Courtesy. I've seen some photographs of Mr. Parasaran standing with Rajiv Dhawan. I read in the book that he waited 15 minutes for Rajiv Dhawan to come down to a car park after the arguments were over.
So that was Justice Nageshwar Rao for you, always anecdotal, and it's a pleasure to listen to him. Listening to you, sir, I remembered an anecdote. Two lawyers and burned this lawyer's car. And both lawyers told me, Tarun, we don't understand. We had samosa in the canteen later, but both our cars were burnt. So sometimes clients don't understand what lawyers do in court is purely professional in nature, and they don't carry it outside the courtroom. And a clear example is Mr. Ijaz Akbul, senior advocate who's come here today. And also that once we got a message saying SG Tushar Mehta very angry in court. And then I asked why. They said that we don't know, but he's very angry in court. Now we are trying to find out what happened. So then we found out he was not in Supreme Court, he was in NCLT and he got angry. So then of course then we found out.
I can tell you, Tarun, on a lighter side, but it is take it seriously. Nobody can make me angry without my consent. I am angry only when I want to be.
So now in fact the stars of today are the authors of this book. And I want to request Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, followed by Advocate Anirudh Sharma. He's got a lot of attention today. He's a bachelor, I must say. So he's, I think, the only unmarried person in this lot. So, so this is your moment. We got to know who the eligible bachelor is on this panel. Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, many congratulations. Some can take us through one or two chapters which are must read, which would provide an insight to the readers into the book. If you could reflect on that for 5-7 minutes.
Sure. Chief Justice Tushar Mehta sir, our guest Mohammad Saab and Guru sir and Tarun for being here, and all of you to spare the Friday evening. And of course, it's a real privilege to be here to speak about the book. I mean, I would recommend all of you to have a look at the chapter 1885. See, before getting into this matter, for me, I got involved in this case, and I was a counsel in the matter to brief Parasaran sir. That was my special assignment. So when I got into the matter, and prior to that I always believed that this was some kind of a political matter. Honestly, I am a Hyderabadi missionary schools BCom honors graduate in Delhi University doing commercial and revenue matters and civil matters in Supreme Court. So I had no idea about history or anything to do with that. And so Ayodhya movement was a political subject for me as a practicing lawyer until 2017. When I got into the matter and got familiar with the records, at that stage what struck was that none of the newspapers were reporting the history of the litigation in this case. The litigation in this case dates back to 1857 and then onwards. There was a suit in 1885. I mean, that was completely, I was taken by surprise. I mean, acha, there was a litigation about this case in 1885 and you never get to read in any of the mainstream media, which was the print media as I was growing up. And later the news media also came in. And then that triggered my curiosity and then I started reading more. So in this chapter of 1885, we bring out the history of the litigation itself. And then there are certain legal principles. If you have fought on certain principles, then an adjudication on that binds both parties and you can't keep coming back that you complain about the same issue before the court repeatedly. So we call it as res judicata or constructive res judicata. So the two sides to it. One, the history side of 1885 and the other is the brilliance of Parasaran sir. What happened is when this issue of res judicata on the basis of a determination made by the British courts, the matter was travelled to 3 courts at that stage also, the trial court, the appellate court and then the judicial commissioner, and there were some findings which were written, so which probably would be referred to as constructive res judicata, and that was argued at length in law. I'm only referring to the legal principles and the acumen and the genius of Parasaran sir. So we all were taken aback when this argument was raised and we were pondering as to what could be the probable reason. And here comes the magic. I mean, that's what makes him a legend. He brings out a CPC of 1882, which I did not know existed. And it defined res judicata in a manner which is quite distinct from the 1908 CPC. I think only he would have known about it is what I felt, and because that shows the depth of his research. So he went back to his basics. He went into what was the applicable procedural law at that point of time to make the determination a res judicata in law. I think this chapter actually brings out two things: the history of the case and the need for good research to build a point from virtually where you feel there's no hope. So that's the brilliance of the lawyer that comes out at this stage. I think that's one thing which was revealing for us. And then again, there are moments in the case where we have traversed through the volumes of documents and there are multiple chapters. I think I would not try to spoil it because we have put in efforts to make it simple, and then I think it's each to his own reading and his own conclusions, which I think we need to leave it to. So Tarun, I think I would put 1885 as the top of my list.
Thank you. This was enlightening to know. And now we go to the author, Advocate Anirudh Sharma. Any interesting insights from the book? Any experiences that you remember while you were researching and writing this? And any anecdote in addition to what Senior Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju shared with us?
It was, I mean, not merely a coincidence that spirituality and science started together in August of 2019. The hearing of the case started on the 6th of August 2019, and movie Mission Mangal was released on 15th August 2019. When we were watching that movie, that was the first day off that we got 15th August, as cryogenic technology was being explained and put on silver screen for the common man, it appeared to me that why not the story of a 92-year man who has glaucoma in his eyes, who is virtually without his eyes, is dependent totally on hearing aids. At 92, of course, he would have other health problems, would have difficulty in standing, would get high temperatures if he worked a bit more, but yet get into his blanket and asked his colleagues, now I have closed my eyes, I have put medicine, now you read, I will hear. That is how I will prepare. So this story of a 92-year-old man defying all odds was something that we wanted to communicate. And this defying of nature was in the midst of the most challenging litigation of the country. Therefore, this story of the case for Ram, because Mr. Parasin says his life changed, he was in doldrums. He started his life, professional life, from a garage, very few people know. His life was in doldrums, and then one day he started reading Ramayana, and as per him, his life completely changed. And that is what he owed to Lord Ram. So at age of 92, when P.V. Yogeshwaran, let us tell you that this case was, from the advocate on record standpoint of view, was led by Mr. P.V. Yogeshwaran and a very young lawyer who was in the case from student days, Bhakti Vardhan Singh. So they were leading us, and when P.V. Yogeshwaran asked him, sir, why don't you accept the request of the judges to sit and argue? He broke into tears and said, I would not have achieved anything in life but for Ram, and I have argued cases for all kinds of people, all kinds of clients, which we do from day one. And now that I get an opportunity to argue for my Lord, I cannot be sitting and arguing. So, apart from the profundity of history, which Mr. Muhammad has explained and maybe further will explain, this was the story which had to be told. Thank you.
Thank you, Anirudh. Now we'll go to Senior Advocate Guru Krishna Kumar and your reflection on the important chapter in the book. Anything that you would like people to read?
See, as Sridhar said, perhaps it may be unfair to tell people read this or that, because the whole of the book is so interesting. I think what I need to flag is the narrative itself. It is so simple. It is like a story that is told. But having said that, perhaps as counsel, this is what has really attracted me in terms of the actual content in the book. In the beginning, how they have developed the narrative on how Ram himself became a plaintiff. Lord Ram himself became the plaintiff. How a suit has been filed by the DT, and how the divinity of the place where he was born was made the center point of that suit. I think that's a very interesting part of the discussion of the book. And one more thing. The way the matter was prepared by the side of the plaintiffs. For example, talking about how there are four time periods into which the evidence and the material was looked into. For example, from time prehistory up to the time when the mosque was built in 1558. And thereafter the period between 58 and 1857 when the British took over. And then 1857 to 1949 when the first suit was filed. And thereafter the present. I think those are all excellent background material. Only then a reader will be able to understand how the matter was debated in court and how the ultimate decision was taken. That way I would say everything is fantastic, and these are all the background and platform material, if I may say so, which have to be understood for really understanding how the case proceeded.
Thank you. Thank you for that reflection. We will go to Mr. K.K. Mohammed. In your career, you had differences with your colleagues and seniors at the AMU, which is the Aligarh Muslim University. And then there was this one historian report on Ayodhya, which totally denied the presence of a Ram temple there. And can you take us through what happened in those days? Because I think to take a stance against your own seniors and colleagues is a difficult, people succumb. People say, what have I got to do? We have seen people. For you to take a stand must be truly courageous, because a lot of people would say, why should I?
Yes.
Can you take us through what happened to you in those days?
See, because I was not his colleague, he was my teacher also.
Is it?
Yeah, he was my teacher also.
Yeah.
But I found, that time certain moral principle which are expected from a teacher, which he was lacking. Various places, I had my own personal experience also. Although I scored very good marks, the scholarship was not given to me, but it was given to a person who was having 16 marks lesser than that of me in MA, and that person was having 100 marks lesser than that of me in BA, simply because he was a party follower. So when that happened to me, because you just cannot fight against such a such an established person also. I left Aligarh Muslim University, where Makbul Sahib is also there. He is also my colleague. I mean, that way, we were all together at that time. He is, of course, my junior in Aligarh. So then I left Aligarh and then joined Archaeological Survey of India for the postgraduate diploma. And then I got a job in Aligarh itself, because by that time he was, not the head of the department.
Who was Professor Irfan Nabi?
Professor Irfan Nabi.
Yes, yes.
So that fight, continued, because then when I was in Aligarh University, I could make certain very important discoveries, like the discovery of Ibadat Khana, the place where Akbar had invited people from all the religion, Hindu, Muslim. And ultimately he awarded that religion known as Deen-e-Ilahi. So I could discover that one. And a Christian chapel also, which Akbar had built for, when the missionaries came from foreign countries. So all these things, these are certain actions which does not go well with the teacher. So that was my personal difference with him at that time. But when later on this issue came up, here also he said that I was not a part of the excavation team at all. So then we had to publish our old photographs, in which not only I was there, Mr. Jairam Ramesh is the spokesperson of Congress party.
Yes.
His own wife, Jayashree, was also along with me in that team.
Oh.
So this one was also published. So then they had no other way, but they had to succumb to all these things. And they were completely exposed also. It's not only Irfan Habib, I mean, there is a whole group of communist historians. They can sometimes, I used to say that they can stoop down to any level, because they had gone to that level. And the Times of India published that one, but later on Times of India published their rebuttal also. So you have to fight on so many planes with them. It's not only a legal battle sometimes, and it's a matter of a battle of wits and wisdom also sometimes, when you deal with communist historians.
Thank you for sharing and reflecting on those times. Now we go to Senior Advocate Tushar Mehta. When I started reporting on the courts, I was told delay and derail is legal strategy, you won't understand. So then we got to know how it is done. Were any attempts made to delay and derail the matter, and how did the court conduct? Could you sort of recollect those days?
I will, because I do not enjoy the bad reputation of being diplomatic. So I am always straight. I play with a straight bat. There was an attempt, or rather there were attempts to delay. And that was not something which was not anticipated or which was unexpected or came as a surprise. And that happens in every case. The intensity with which you do it may differ from case to case, but that happens, and that's a part of the profession. You have to take it that way. The first challenge before the court was to gather the entire record of the case, which was in thousands and possibly the lakhs of pages, and about 1 lakh, and that was the responsibility which was given to my client and very happily shared by Mr. Ejaz Makbul. So everything was digitized, everything was translated, and Ejaz Makbul did his best to ensure that they are grouped properly, and there were attempts, sometimes veiled attempts, sometimes very, very visible attempts to ensure that the matter is not heard, matter is not. Of course, I have seen that both the authors have shown the diplomacy of not mentioning that, but as I said, that I am not known for that bad habit. And one incident which has left a very bitter taste in my mind is when all attempts to delay failed, two of the eminent counsels, and since I have mentioned Dr. Dhawan's name, I must say he was not one of them. He never did that. Two of the most eminent counsels even staged a walkout which we have heard only in the parliament. Walkout is not something which lawyers do. But as I have said, the judges displayed an amazing skill of judicial statesmanship, and they ensured that the thing move on the right direction. And beyond this, I don't think it now that everything is over, we should say anything. Only one thing I would like to clarify. My friend Guru inadvertently used one expression, and I would like to clarify. He didn't mean that, I'm sure about it. He said the narrative of the book. See, narrative is what is being built nowadays in social media and in YouTube channels. This is narration of the case and not the narrative of the book.
I meant the style of narration.
Yes, I understand. You meant
style of
that.
narration.
I meant, but that is something which we, all of us in this profession, on both sides, bench and bar, should be very wary of, because the narrative building before a particular case of some importance, is to come before the court. The narrative building starts. So far as Mr. Muhammad is concerned, I cannot go into the individual issues, but I can say, sir, that there are people who trace the history and who record the historical facts. There are people who twist the history, distort the history to suit their convenience, and there are people who make the history. You fall into the first category. You have traced the history and recorded it. There are people who have twisted the history and attempted to suit a particular narrative, as I say, and there are people like Mr. Parasaran who created the history. Thank you.
Good. Spoken like you always speak. Yes, we want to get to it. Of course, we'll get to it in questions. This is Mr. Senior Advocate P. Parasaran, and then we'll come to you.
Therefore, I didn't name anyone.
Yes.
It was just an instance. But since I named Dr. Dhawan as the lead counsel, who eventually argued brilliantly, I say he was not the one who did that.
Okay. Since you referred to Senior Advocate Parasaran, we would like to show you an AV on what he said.
In entire case, the number of pages was exceeding 50,000. There were documents in different languages, they are translated in English. Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit, Persian, Gurmukh, Punjabi. The case was all good. And the entire evidence I had read from cover to cover, because there is Mr. Yogeshwaran, he would not leave me unless I read. We had several conferences. Yogeshwaran even now remembers the entire evidence from page 1 to the last. This is a very unique case. There has in the past no case like Ayodhya's case. There will in the future be no case like the Ayodhya case. Naguto, Nagavishit. Anvil Sharma. Then she photographed. Anvil Sharma is very analytical. He was very good at working of case law and law. Photographed. I will say which are the cases which is required. 5 or 6 volumes of bound Xerox copies of the case law will be on the table the next day. This is photographed. People who read this book will understand what is the work which has been turned out. What was the work which was done in the case. And this book is just as the case is a unique one. No precedent, no subsequent will come, because we have to cover more than 400 litigation. Now, yeah, on 25th or so, 500 years of history. It is unfortunate when the judgment was delivered on a Saturday. From Monday and Tuesday, there were criticisms at the court case by even several lawyers. I don't find fault with them. Judgments or arguments are entitled to be criticized or appreciated. Judgments are liable to be criticized or appreciated. Only you do not criticize the judge personally. You can. But if they want to criticize, they should have read these 50 pages of record. Even if they don't read it, they must have at least read about 2,000 pages of the High Court judgment and about 1,000 pages of the Supreme Court. Then I would appreciate it. For that, 2 or 3 days would not have been sufficient. The perception, that is, one sees a mosque. It was a Babri masjid. Today one sees a temple. The mosque was demolished, an illegal act. Today the temple stands. Therefore the verdict is wrong. It is not to be done.
So that was Mr. Senior Advocate Parasaran. Now I would like to note the presence of Dr. Lalit Bhasin. He is with us today. Madhu Kishwarji is with us today. Academic, a scholar and an institution builder, Professor C. Rajkumar. He is with us today. Before opening up for questions, we have last 10-12 minutes. Senior Advocate Ijaz Maqbool wanted to say something, followed by Professor Rajkumar, Dr. Lalit Bhasin and Madhu Kishwar. One comment or question, then we'll open up to the audience. Can somebody please give a mic to Senior Advocate Ijaz Maqbool?
Good evening. I must first take this opportunity to congratulate our 2 young authors, Ota Raju and Anirudh Sharma. Anirudh is like a child to me because his uncle, who we used to call him Didi, was my classmate in St. John's, Ranchi. And in those days, we had cycled at the Ranchi airport. Those were the days when, only 1 or 2 aircrafts used to come. I have one very interesting anecdote to share about this case. We used to work in the office, my juniors, particularly Akriti Chaube and 3 more of my juniors who are mentioned in this book. They will work till about 2 a.m. with Dr. Dhawan for this case. And then all the submissions were used to come to my office in Noida, and by 10 in the morning, we used to create about 50 copies of it. Even the junior most person appearing in this case used to get a copy of whatever was submitted by us. But let me share one very personal anecdote about Mr. Parasaran. Mr. Parasaran once called me and told me that Ijaz, please come down to the parking lot. And I went down and met him. I have been in practice for last 41 years, so I have been seeing him from my young days. And he called me in the parking lot, and what he gifted me, he gifted me a mini Quran. And that mini Quran is kept in my house as my gift from a very, very eminent lawyer. The other thing which I must share, which all of you must be knowing, is that we as lawyers in this case never, though the atmosphere was very charged and the country was divided among Hindus and Muslims, but we inside the courtroom, we had, in fact, every day Dhawan will go, and as mentioned in the book, we will greet the sadhus and people, Maulanas who were working in this, and we followed that principle that do as adversaries do in law, strike mightily, but eat and drink as friends. And that is how I have a small word for my very dear friend, my Solicitor General of India. After Daftari, he will break the record of Daftari also. He's the 2nd longest serving Solicitor General of India. And in my book release, Law, Humor and Urdu Poetry, I used a couplet for him, and which I want to share here also. Daman pe koi cheat, na khanjar pe koi daag, na daman pe koi cheat, तुम कत्ल करो हो कि तुम करामात करो हो. Thank you so much.
Can you give it to Professor Rajkumar? I would also like to add, Senior Advocate Ijaz Makbul, that Mr. Dakfari was also nominated to the Rajya Sabha.
Congratulations, Anirudh and Sridhar. Some people may not know, but Sridhar and I have been classmates from Campus Law Center, 94 to 97, so we share a lot of memories from the past. So proud of you, Sridhar and Anirudh, for what you've done. I just wanted to say that we all know, of course, how much of this case and the entire issue has dominated the public discourse for so long. So a question to Mr. Mehta, and of course a question to the authors too. To the authors, when you chose to write this book now, and I do believe that this book is going to be one of the most influential books of both legal and constitutional history, and how it in many ways, as it was mentioned before, that if you persistently go deep into an argument, you can change around and do this. So how do you plan to communicate this book to a wider audience? Because I think the politics of it dominated so long up till the judgment, and probably a little bit even now. But I think what you as lawyers have done is actually do a great human service to a lot of us who are outside the legal profession, who wanted to understand this the way you have written. So I would be very keen to hear that perspective. Mr. Mehta, you of course, you said about your plain speaking nature, we all know about that. What I want to ask you is that on matters of significant political importance, as a solicitor general or as an advocate, when you argue those cases, do you adopt a separate strategy, or you keep the politics aside and you look into law and appear as if it is a legal matter in its entirety? Does politics matter to you when you are a lawyer in arguing a case like this?
Sir, first. The tradition of the bar is that the senior gets to.
No, I definitely. I never avoid any question. I thought you are the author, so you must have the first say. And I always like to have the last word.
That you will always.
No, just on the lighter side. But yes, Rajkumar, nowadays, see, you must have seen, if you see the history of the Supreme Court, very few political issues used to come to the Supreme Court in past. Purely legal issues used to come. Since last decade or so, the political issues are also brought in the courtroom battle, which should ideally be fought on the democratic platform or before the public, before the citizens. The law officer's duty would change depending upon the nature of the case. And of course, the first and foremost duty is to assist the court on facts and in law. Every lawyer, including myself, have his or her own strategy. And whatever we may say that we argue to assist the court and ultimately to achieve the cause of justice, that's a good thing to say, but ultimately all of us argue to win the case. And to win the case, you must have a strategy. Of course, politics would never impact your decision making, what to argue, how to argue, and what not to argue. But as a law officer, you will have to keep in mind the governmental policy, not the politics of it. That this is the policy of the government, which may have political repercussions. And accordingly, you mold your strategy to argue or not to argue a particular point.
Insofar as this book is concerned, I mean, to make it more relevant for a wider audience, the effort that we put in was probably we went down by about 30 or 40 drafts of this book to actually bring it down to a high school student who should be able to understand the judiciary's functioning, because there's a lot of misinformation, again, narrative building around the judiciary, which is very unfortunate. And through this book, what we try to do is, this is a non-fiction book, but we put it in a story format, which would enable someone to at least stick to the story and then also subtly understand the subcontext of concepts of law, like preponderance of probabilities of evidence in civil law, or probably juristic person. So these concepts of res judicata are very complex. People will switch off very easily because most of these expressions have no Indian grounding at all. They are Latin, literally and metaphorically. So we had to deal with this challenge also. And then for us, what we felt, as Maqbool Sahab had also mentioned, that there was so much camaraderie and warmth inside the court during the recess, after the hearings, and in the parkings also. And then what was transpiring outside was completely to the contrast. So what we felt was a professional ability to discern emotions and then go by facts to ascertain truth. See, this process of judicial adjudication that we have chosen as a constitutional democracy is of ascertaining truth through a court of law, where two parties or two sides present their case in accordance with the procedural law as well as the evidentiary law. And then the burden shifts to the judges to actually separate the chaff from the grain and crystallize the truth and then make it part of the judgment. So therefore this country needed to know truth as to what is this. Is this, as some people wanted to believe, was only a political invention, or is there some truth to the cause itself? So therefore, when I mentioned 1885, it was in this sense that there is some truth to the cause which was pursuing for 500 years, for generations, and it's a lived history of this land. And it's probably at a level an identity of this civilization itself. So it was our duty to actually write it in a form that everyone knows it, as well as they know Ramayana or its characters. That was the effort.
I have one suggestion, taking on from Dr. Rajkumar, that it must have a wider reach. See, one thing you beautifully, aptly, very beautifully use the word, that it is in the story form. So it's a fictionalized history without compromising on the facts, making it interesting for a reader to read. One way of making it reach to a wider audience can be to have it translated in several regional languages, vernacular languages, so that it reaches those people who may not know they may have some language barrier, they may choose not to read English, but translation may be a very good idea.
Just to take from where Mr. Sridhar Pottaraju left, when we were discussing about writing this case, we realized generally we have a case where some human being is on trial. Here the history of the country was on trial. That is what we realized. And I would like to acknowledge Mr. Ramesh Tripathi, whose writing I am a big fan of. He tried to conceptualize and put it in story format, our own scriptures, in a new way. So that was also an inspiration. Thank you.
In the interest of time, we'll quickly take two comments from Dr. Lalit Bhasin and Madhukeshwar. And
It's a privilege to speak about Mr. Parasaran and the publication you see which has been brought out. Out of 63 years of my law practice, I had the privilege of knowing Mr. Parasaran for nearly 40 years. I visited him in Chennai only 2 months ago, and he gave a 1-hour interview which is already on YouTube, and people can benefit by, looking into it. One quality which is mentioned, which has come out very clearly in the book, is his commitment, to the cause, his commitment to the client, his commitment to the profession. I read one chapter in the book that he was under some weather, he was not well. Doctors were called. He was advised to take rest and not to open his eyes because not to cause strain. But what he did was, he asked his juniors to read out, the passages which are relevant, the judgment and all that. And then he only one night he took the rest, and then he argued the matter, you see, for days and days together. That is the commitment which our present generation of lawyers have to learn and to accept, which we do find in some faces, you see, in some personalities like Mr. Tushar Mehta. But the younger generation has to follow that. Consciousness, you see, to follow, you see, the principles of our legal profession. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I am also young.
Thank you, thank you, Tarun, for hosting such a fascinating panel. It's one of the best sessions I've ever attended. Thank you, each one of you, for offering us your insights in such precise words. I speak here as a survivor of JNU History Center and the eminent historians that you were all referring to. While on the one hand, it's very inspiring to know that the legal fraternity maintained dignity, warmth, and a certain professionalism in dealing with each other once the bitterness of the court battles was over and they came out, and the court at least maintained its, or the legal fraternity maintained its dignity, and you said so did the judges. However, as I said, I speak as a survivor of JNU History Center. All these were my teachers. I feel that the business of the court or the judges, what we expect from the judges and the promise they give us, is that the lawyers on both sides are expected and meant to assist the court in arriving at the truth, in arriving at the correct facts. Now, why is it that those, not just in this case, but this has become a standard practice, that you can lie, you can cheat, you can humiliate, and get away with it? You're not punished at all, even when lives are destroyed. In this case, it's not just you, sir, as an archaeologist who was hounded, who was demeaned, whose career was sought to be destroyed, but I feel that the entire Hindu community was presented, those who stood up for the right of the to reclaim the temple, as fascists. The whole world, the world over, Hinduism became synonymous with fascism. Why? Because we're supposed to have demolished the mosque, we're supposed to have endangered a certain religious minority. Itni badnami, इतनी जलालत हमें भोगनी पड़ी देश को, केवल उनको नहीं जो केस लड़ रहे थे, पर सारे हिंदू। और मैं भी इस केस के प्रति जागरूक तभी हुई क्योंकि इतनी बदनामी, इतनी जलालत झेलनी पड़ रही थी। नहीं तो मैं भी आपकी तरह श्रीधर जी बहुत ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्व नहीं थी शुरू में, समय लगा हमें समझने में। पर जब समय लगा समझने में तो जितनी जलालत, झूठ, फरेब कोर्ट में पेश किया गया, तो मुझे लगता है कि कुछ तो सजा होनी चाहिए थी उन एमिनेंट हिस्टोरियंस को भी जो इतने सरासर झूठ बोल रहे थे और कोर्ट को मिसलीड कर रहे थे। ये बहुत ज्यादती हुई है। उनको तो वैसे रिवॉर्ड भी मिल गया, 5 एकड़ लैंड, खैर वो छोटी सी बात है। पर ये जो देश को इतना बदनाम किया, हिंदू समाज को इतना बदनाम किया, ये तो इतिहास माफ नहीं करेगा और मैं तो मानती हूँ कि माफ करना भी नहीं चाहिए। आपका तुषार मेहता जी, आपका क्या रिस्पॉन्स?
If you understand the distinction between historians and fiction writers, all your problems will be sorted out.
Spoken like how we know the SG to speak. Now we come to the most interesting part. We have a ASI picture slideshow on which Mr. KK Mohammed will speak. Can we have the slideshow on, and we would request Mr. KK Mohammed to speak. Can we get a mic to him? You have a mic. once we put on the slideshow.
वैसे मैं आपके साथ हूँ. They should have been punished. They should have been punished. Yes, yes. Yeah. So here you have, the archaeological evidence in favor of the temple, because earlier their argument was, the communist historians' argument was that the mosque was built on virgin land. Virgin land means, below that there is neither mosques nor temples. That was their earlier argument. But when this one, radar survey was carried out, that is this one, ground penetrating radar survey was carried out, it was known that even there are number of structures below that one. So then this problem was raised before those people, before the communist historians. So then they started, changing their track. They started telling these are some of the Eidgahs, that is some of the Muslim structures. So that was a change of mind at a later time when it was known that, from this one ground penetrating radar survey, it has been proved that, there are structures below that one. So all those structures, you can find, this is a typical circular structure here. And here you have got a number of structures, this one, number of evidences. And here also there are number of evidences. And those are bases, brick bases on which temple pillars were standing. So these kind of evidences we got. Next. And here can you think of having this kind of sculptures, lady sculptures from a mosque area? It is haram as per the Islamic rule. You cannot have this kind of structures or even this kind of terracotta figures in an Islamic structure. It is not only one or two, a number of them were excavated. In the previous excavation conducted by Professor B. Bilal, in which I had also participated, and in the later excavation, which was led by Dr. B.R. Mani. Because earlier we had got only 12 pillars, indubitable pillars, but when the second excavation was carried out, more than 15 pillars were exposed, and the 15 pillar bases were also exposed. Again, look at this lady figure. Can you ever think of having this kind of figures in a mosque area? The other one also, that is also another lady figure. Here also again you have got, even having any kind of photograph or painting of this one human being, that is also haram as per the Islamic rule. Next. Here you have got the Ashtamangala Chinnas, one of the 8 auspicious symbols. You can never get this kind of auspicious symbols in a mosque area, because it is one of the Ashtamangala Chinnas. Only in a temple you would be finding it. Here you have a picture or a vase from which foliages are coming out. There were certain depictions of Kirti Muga of Lord Shiva, which was defaced. Next. And here also you have got a number of temple pillars like this one. You have this kind of pillars which is in Quwwatul Islam Mosque also. More than 17 temples were destroyed for constructing that one. You can just go and see. This one Ganapati is there. You have got a number of sculptures. Vishnu is there. A number of sculptures into sculptures. Next. This is again the temple part, architectural parts of the temples. Next. And this is of course, this one figure, where the mosque is standing here. And here the details of all those things have been given, and this was the area where excavations was carried out. Next. Again, this one, different parts. There should be a gargoyle also. Next. Oh, no, there is a gargoyle also. Acha. Next. No, acha. So here, you have got a number of evidences, but there are some more. I was not consulted before putting up this one. Had I known, I would have given you some more slides, which was, yeah. So I often say in the Muslim group also, because even after giving a country like Pakistan exclusively to Muslims, if India is a secular country, it is only because it is a Hindu majority country. Otherwise, it would never have been a secular country. So we should realize that one. Lord Rama is Purushottama, he is Maryada Purusha. And the certificate given by this one Marija, that is Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. He is the personification of Dharma. Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma, Sadhu Satya Parakrama. It is for such a great person, we have fought the battle almost for 500 years. So even Iqbal also said, हे राम के वजूद पे हिंदुस्तान को नाज, हे राम के वजूद पे हिंदुस्तान को नाज, अहले नजर समझते हैं उनको इमाम हिंद. So this was the verse of Iqbal. So it is for such a person we had to fight a legal battle almost for 500 years.
Thank you, and so beautifully spoken with full intellectual honesty. Long ago I used to moderate political events, and the last word always of the senior most leader. So I think we must give the last word to Senior Advocate Tushar Mehta before we invite Dibakar Ghosh, who is legal head of RUPA, to make his comment. But
I have nothing more to add. Only one thing, as Professor Saab mentioned, Iqbal is Allama Iqbal, one of the foremost Urdu ghazal writer of his time. He has written a verse on Sri Ram, and he's the one, if I'm not wrong, who wrote the national anthem of Pakistan.
now we welcome Dibakar Ghosh, who is editorial director and legal head of the publishers RUPA. If he can come and say a few words, please.
Thank you so much, esteemed panelists, Tusharji, authors, and everyone who's present in this auditorium. पहली चीज़ मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि इस गैदरिंग को देखकर एज अ पब्लिशर मैं दो रीज़न से खुश हूँ. पहला, फर्स्ट रीज़न इज़ that almost everyone has a copy in their hand, so we already sold 200 copies. So ये तो अच्छी बात है हमारे लिए, पब्लिशर के लिए. सेकेंड चीज़ क्या है सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग, जो अभी बात हो रही थी, तुषार जी भी कह रहे थे, about narration, about narratives. We here, I think if it's dominated by the legal fraternities, we here have storytellers. So you are a galaxy of storytellers, and Anirudh ji and Sridhar ji have written a book which can form a template for each one of you as to how to write about a case. जो insider view है केस का objectively नहीं दिया जाता. उन्होंने एक template set किया है with objectivity, with facts, कि कैसे एक केस के बारे में लिखा जाए. How should you write about a case which was probably the most important case in the history of the nation? A nation which was expecting the worst when the judgment came out, but the judgment was so sound, the arguments were so sound, that I think everyone understood that this was the acceptable judgment, this was the only way forward. So thank you Anirudh ji, thank you Sridhar ji for writing such a wonderful book, Tushar ji for gracing the occasion, all the esteemed panelists for being here, and thank you to everyone. It's a packed house, gladdens our heart, and hopefully many of you after reading this book will be inspired to write more books for us. So yeah, may our tribe grow, sir. Writers may grow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now may I hand it over to Ma'am Bharti Balaji for the further proceedings.
Thank you, Divakarji. Divakarji has addressed his potential market. So indeed, I hope this will become a template for the generation to come. And thank you, Tarun. Thank you so much. I think we've got to know some interesting stories and facts. Thank you again. And congratulations to both the authors. let me just wear my spectacles, please. For those interested, copies of the books are available at the stands today and also online for our wider audience. So I've just been informed that there is a surprise from the chambers of Sridhar Pottaraju for the authors. And can we have the surprise, please? So I hope this is indeed a surprise. To conclude this evening, I now invite Ms. Ankita Sharma, Advocate on Record, Supreme Court of India, to deliver a vote of thanks. Ankita.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of the organizers as we conclude this memorable book launch of Case for Ram, The Untold Insider Story. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our chief guest, the Honorable Solicitor General of India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, for graciously consenting to be with us this evening despite his extremely demanding schedule. Thank you, sir. We are equally honored by the presence of our distinguished guest of honor, Dr. K.K. Mohammed. Sir, your invaluable contributions to Indian archaeology and your insights into our nation's cultural heritage has been an inspiration. Mr. Guru Krishna Kumar, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court of India. Sir, we are grateful for your time and for sharing your extreme presence with us. Here I take a moment to thank Ms. Nidhi Khare, Secretary, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Government of India, to specially grace this occasion. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to extend special thanks to the authors, Mr. Anirudh Sharma and Mr. Sridhar Pottaraju, for their dedication and meticulous research in bringing forth with this untold insider story. Your commitment to presenting this narrative deserves our sincere appreciation, sir. We are grateful to the management and staff of Chinmay Mission Delhi for providing this wonderful venue at Lodi Estate and for excellent cooperation in hosting this event. I would also like to acknowledge all the distinguished guests, members of legal fraternity, scholars, media representatives, and book enthusiasts who have joined us this evening. Your presence and participation has truly made this event successful. Thank you all for all the organizers, coordinators, and support staff who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that this evening proceeds smoothly. Finally, I thank each and every one of you for taking time out from your busy schedules to be here with us on this significant occasion. Thank you, and I wish you all a pleasant evening ahead.
Indeed, thank you to each one of you, and it's such a lovely to see so much of a big gathering. Thank you to each one of you, and thank you, Tarun, once again for moderating such an interesting session. As we come to the close of this wonderful evening, I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to each one of you for taking out time to join us for the launch of Case for Ram, and for your warm support to the authors. Thank you all once again for being a part of this memorable occasion. We now invite you all for the dinner, which I'm told it's in the banquet hall in the basement. Yes. Yeah. It's on the ground floor. Yeah, it's on the ground floor. So please join us for dinner. Thank you once again. Thank you, chief guest and esteemed guests sitting on the dais, to each one of you. Thank you so much once again, and have a pleasant evening. Good night. I think it's controlled.
I have one.